Hello and welcome back everyone to Legacy of the Duelist on Rocket Rabbit Commentaries, and in this episode we're continuing on with the VRAINS Campaign as we get into the next big villain arc for VRAINS. We get introduced to
Treeborn Frog.
Well, we've not been introduced to Treeborn Frog. Bohman. I don't actually know any of the story behind Bohman. I know that he is the primary villain for this part of the VRAINS campaign. But I don't know. I don't think he was actually originally running Invoked. I think he was actually running the. I think he was originally running a cyber style deck. At least originally, but now he's running a mixture of Gen X and Invoked. Invoked is an extremely powerful archetype based specifically around exactly one monster, and that monster is Invoked Mechaba. We will get to show off what some of the Invoked monsters do, specifically Mechaba, as we go through here. My favorite Invoked monster is not Mechaba, though, despite the fact how powerful it is. My favorite one is actually Purgatrio, because Purgatrio has the ability to OTK your opponent regardless of what, regardless of what your opponent's board looks like, assuming your opponent doesn't have a spell and trap support for their monsters.
I see. So instead of starting the game with a monster in our hand, we're going to use that trap card Fusion Reserve to get that monster into our hand.
Eventually. A DNA transplant, pushing everyone into light attributes. Blue Maiden is now playing Marincess. Marincess is actually a still very powerful aqua cyber strategy. Well, water cyber strategy that does very quick and succinct link climbing in order to get into a relatively stable field presence, and then attempts to swing over you with about 9,000 attack points on field. They do this relatively well, but not really well enough is the problem. So,
let's use Fusion Reserve
in order to grab Alistair the Invoker by revealing... I think we reveal Cocutus? Yeah, we're going to reveal Cocutus. Okay.
I see. So he's the ingredient, and we have a whole recipe book of ways that we can put him into a different fusion monster.
Ooh, Fires of Doomsday. Alright, so what we want to do here is we want to normal summon Alistair the Invoker. Then, with Alistair the Invoker's effect, we want to grab a copy of, Invocation. And then from here we can use Invocation. Do we? I don't think. We're gonna mind control anyway. So, yeah, we want to mind. I'm pretty sure we want to mind control Blue Slug in order to disable Blue Maiden's link climbing.
Right, we're removing the card on her field that's giving her abilities right now.
Well, not abilities right now specifically, because a lot of the Marincess abilities are very specifically on her turn. She gets some pretty significant. Pretty significant damage steroids going forward with her monsters. So banishing Blue Slug will eventually cause her to attempt to rebuild her entire link line instead of just having a partial access to it. So, Invoked Mechaba is extremely powerful, specifically because she is one of the first instances of an archetype that has what is essentially a universal omni-negate. I can spend, I think it's just a discard in order to universally negate the spell trap or monster effect of a card my opponent controls.
Except cards that activate during the damage step, and except counter trap cards.
That is not true. I can't interact with counter traps, but any monster effects that activate during the damage step, I think I can negate. And it is extremely important that I tell you that because I had a duel about a month ago, where I had to have multiple calls on a specific monster by the name of Fire King Avatar Arvada. Fire King Avatar Arvada does not have the damage step exclusion clause on it, and still, because he negates the activations of effects, he can be activated in the damage step.
Well, I thought the only things that you could activate during the damage step were effects that modify attack or defense.
So did I.
I guess they finally got rid of that rule.
No, actually, this is not a new rule. This is a thing that you and I have gotten wrong for ages and ages. The reason why we got it wrong is because classically there were a total of about 3 effects in the game that would activate during the damage step that did not actually involve the altering of stat points, and they very specifically mentioned that they could be activated during the damage step. However, this was before 2019, when virtually every single archetype in the game got the ability to interact with the opponent virtually at all times. This is a problem that modern Yu-Gi-Oh is, trying and failing to address, because we're about to go in, as of today, as of the day that we're actually recording this, Justice Hunters just came out, and we are going into a format where both sides of the field are going to have semi-continuous interactions with your opponent and yourself over and over, regardless of what phase it is. It's going to be an extremely confusing time for a while, whilst we get more used to this new status quo. And we're going to have to get used to the status quo quicker than we want, because the OCG has been in this format for the past 6 months, as they always are, and the only thing that we have different in the TCG side is the fact that we've got access to a very powerful TCG exclusive archetype in Mitsurugi. I really like Mitsurugi, but even they actually have the ability to interact in the damage step through Murakumo, because Murakumo can actually negate the activation and effects, as the potential to negate activations and effects of cards that your opponent controls, by forcing them to choose to either allow the effect to go through or discard a card.
Stupid fishboard.
Also, we've got access to Super Poly. Waha.
Silence, everyone. I'm activating super polymerization.
We are probably actually going to try and activate Super Poly to get into another Cocutus. Ah, damn it, Darkhold.
Cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects.
Alright, so we normal summon Duradark, then activate Invocation for Cocutus? I think so.
I still find it funny that after all these years, that counter trap cards still continue to be the least utilized type of card in the entire game.
This is strictly because we, instead of actually countering our opponent's plays, it is significantly better to respond to universal plays instead of countering specific plays. Fishboard Archer, he's got special
I just find
summons.
Oh shit, he just... Oh, no, she's not done yet. She's gonna summon a planter that's gonna defend her. Okay. Well, I think Yu-Gi-Oh! Does need more of those, like, shut up and die kinds of effects. Like, super polymerization is a shut up and die effect. Like, I'm activating the card, you can't do anything about it, just accept the consequences. Counter trap cards also similarly have that effect, because you can only respond to a counter trap card with another counter trap card. That's been a thing since the very beginning.
Unfortunately, Spell Speed 3 is just a thing that modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is drifting away from. We're still going to have Spell Speed 4, thankfully, but we're
What the fuck
losing
is Spell Speed 4?
Yes. Spell Speed 4 is the community term for cards that cannot be negated or responded to, such as Access Code Talker and Super Polymerization.
Right, because it specifically says that other effects cannot be used in response either to the activation or resolution of the effect.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Alright, Alistair to kill the planter. And then Duradark to attack the face down, which was Flip Flop Frog.
If Jack Black made a Yu-Gi-Oh deck, he would probably try to fill his decks just with effects like counter trap cards and super polymerization, like...
No! Like, Jack Black very specifically would probably either try and play either Trick Stars or a Neo Red Eyes Dragon Link.
Ooh.
Neo Red Eyes Dragon Link is actually extremely fun to play with, I have been told. The problem with it for me is that in order to actually run it successfully, you not only have to have a full Dragon Link deck effectively built already, you also need to get a bunch of the super/ultra rares from the last several sets in order to make it work. Look, Full Metal Red Eyes Black Dragon is absolutely kick-ass. Having an Omni negate on a Red Eyes Black Dragon monster that actually gets bigger every time it successfully Omni negates is really kick-ass. But it comes with the problem of that better be how you're winning the game, and Dragon Link has been able to win the game without that for years now, just by using the extremely long list of suite of dragon monsters that, have the ability to infinitely special summon either themselves or their pieces over and over again. Ooh, the Dark Hexial Fusion!
Yay. The Dark Hexial Fusion could be a substitute for any Dark Fusion monster that requires a fusion material.
Alright, we finally bested Blue Maiden and her spamming of Fishborgs. Waha!
I was gonna say, I was impressed by your extra, both by the strategy you implemented and also by the extra deck design, that if you want to use an opponent's monster on the board, use DNA Transplant to force the attribute of that monster to be the one that you need.
Yeah.
If you want to use an attribute other than that monster, then you use Invocation in order to use a fusion material with one of the monsters in your opponent's graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice.
Alright, so here is where Bohman gets to show off the actual correct pairing with Invoked. Shaddoll Invoked. Shaddoll is a series of monsters that are almost all flip effect monsters with the exception of their extra deck pieces. It does not matter that they have flip effects, they have never successfully resolved any of them. The actual point of Shaddoll being effect monsters is that not only do they have flip effects that they will never successfully get to resolve, but they also have when this card is sent to the graveyard effects on every single one. So it gets to be extremely easy, specifically for Shaddoll Dragon and Shaddoll Dragon, Beast, and Hedgehog to actually go either +1 or +2 with fusion summoning over and over again. Squamata effect in order to grab. I think it's core that we want here, right?
Shadang.
Is it core or fusion? Okay, we're going to grab Beast. No, we're going to send Beast, and then Beast effect triggers, allowing us to draw 2. Oh, it's just draw 1. Okay. Yeah, his flip effect is draw 2, discard 1.
Right. If you can get it.
Well, that again, you're never going to successfully resolve the flip effects of any of the Shaddoll monsters, because Beast is a level 5 or higher, Dragon has 0 defense, Squamata only has 700 defense. I think the only decently statted defense monster that Shaddoll gets is Falco, and I think Falcon is 12? I want to say Falco is 1200 defense.
1600.
No. Salamangreat Falco is 1600 defense. Shaddoll Falcon, I'm pretty sure, is only 12.
Oh, Falcon. Okay. I missed that part. Mind you, Falco is a play on the word Falcon, but we must observe that they are 2 different words.
Okay, so we summon Dragon.
I don't need to flip on you.
have window run over Jaguar. Okay, the big reason why Shaddoll Invoked is so powerful is almost entirely due to the combination of Invoked Mechaba, who again is usually an Omni Negate that you can trade for infinitely with, and El Shaddoll Winda. El Shaddoll Winda locks your opponent out from special summoning so long as it remains face up on the field, and because it has 2,200 attack points at this point, especially at this point in Yu-Gi-Oh's history where a majority of special summon monsters require multiple special summons in order to get there, and a lot of the pieces are really small, well, Winda makes it so that, yeah, they usually can't actually run over it without devoting a bunch of additional resources, which they usually can't do.
So is the Last Warrior from Another Planet banned right now?
It is not, actually, and in fact, one of the more popular 10% Bricky combos from several years ago in Master Duel was to set 3 copies of Waking the Dragon, let your opponent either Harpy's Feather Duster, Lightning Storm, or Heavy Storm you, and then bring out a copy of Last Warrior from Another Planet and see if your opponent can run over it. They usually can't, so you win from there.
Yay. So remember the fucking name.
Signet Mining. Soulburner here is desperately trying to figure out a way to out our Winda, but without special summoning either Heatlio or Salamangreat Wolf, he usually doesn't have the ability to put out enough stats to actually successfully run over Winda. In the next episode, we will actually finish Bohman versus Soulburner, because now that we've got Duradark on the field, we can just repeatedly run over all of his monsters. Waha!
Talk to the hand.
Falco effect, grabbing circle. Alright, be safe everybody.